All my pit guys, they get mad at me. They're just waiting with the wrenches when I'm sitting in my car because I'm always changing something at the last minute. But it's not always the right thing, but you got to try it.
Yeah.
I got to try to get the edge over everybody else.
If you start out with a mediocre car, you will always be a mediocre racer at best.
Yeah.
Because you can only make it as good as it is.
Yeah.
I don't care who gets behind the wheel.
Cory Van Mil of Lake Park, Minnesota has built his business around racing. He has helped develop the Mod 4 class into what it is today. You will usually see Cory geared up to race alongside his sons Rob and Tommy, but recovering from shoulder surgery gave Cory the chance to watch his cars from the pits.
Well, I put my first laps on in 1967, so that's 43 years ago. And I have raced about 26 years of those 43, but I've always been involved around motorsports, mostly dirt track racing and stuff like that during that about entire period. Well, I've always been kind of a motorhead, and when I was early 16 years old, worked in service station where one of the employees had a sprint car, another employee had a hobby stock, and that was the two classes back then. We didn't have all these different classes you have now. You had a simple hobby stock or you had a sprint car. And so me and a friend of mine that were graduating that year, we found a little place to work on a race car, or built an old car, and we built it into a circle track car. We only raced, I think, maybe 5 times that season, but we had a lot of fun. I think we had as much fun building and preparing the car as we ever did the actual racing.
Since I was 6, I started BMX racing and then motocross and go-karts and cars, snowmobiles. And then I suppose it's been like 6 years and I started racing full-time again last year.
I've been around it ever since I was like, I don't even know, 7, 8 years old, scraping mud off of cars and making stuff go fast. So that's what we do.
Well, the Mod 4 class is something that we got involved in when my boys got too big for BMXing and go-kart racing, and we got them into mini stocks, which was the 4-cylinder class and stuff like that, the little Mustangs, and we did that very successfully then too. And next step was to first get the oldest son into a Mod 4, and we started there. A year after that, the second one, the next younger son got into Mod 4 as well. There was a very poor availability for cars at the time and engines and everything, so we got into a position where we started building our own cars and building very good competitive cars, and we've done that ever since. So that's about since 1995. We've built about 25 cars during that time. It's not a great number, but we've got like 9 of them on the racetrack right now that we all work with. When I started racing, everybody that raced was either a mechanic or a welder or something. They took part in building their own cars because there was nothing to buy. I don't think there was even any actual racing building, engine shops or chassis shops or anything back then. And it's developed, more and more. Nowadays, somebody that has no clue about mechanical ability in any way or form can go buy a chassis and go buy all the parts and go buy a race motor and the transmission and the gears and everything, and even hire people to put it together or buy them all completely assembled and go racing. that didn't used to be that way. If you start with a mediocre car, you'll never get to that point.
Yeah.
Well, you will ever get it figured out.
Yeah.
Period.
Take you too long to get there, right?
If you start out with a mediocre car, you will always be a mediocre racer at best.
Yeah.
Because you can only make it as good as it is.
Yeah.
I don't care who gets behind the wheel. In this class, which is a slower class, it's a more entry-level class, but yet we are just about as fast as the A mods and stuff like that. I feel very competitive. I know I can go on to any racetrack, anywhere, and move forward. I am very competitive about everything. I should, even driving down the highway, there's always a certain amount of competition even involved there, I think.
One weekend in Bemidji, my dad, he didn't end up showing up to the race, and I won a feature in Bemidji. Well, after that, he was giving me heck that he wasn't there, you know, and this and that. Well, then the next week he came out and he raced, and I beat him for the feature. So that was kind of neat. That was kind of like, all right, well, you're here now, and I still beat you, you know. He wouldn't even, it wasn't even justifiable if I started in front of him. I had to start from behind him, and I did, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, try and pass me from behind once, he says, you know.
2 weeks ago at the WISSOTA 100, I won the Race of Champions with Rob right at my side, try to beat me, and this went on for 20 laps. He started right behind me on the inside road. There was 3 of us that were just left the whole field pretty much.
Yeah.
Me and then Rob and then Josh Abrahamson. We really hauled out there, and I won that one. And we had several good races. If we think back to the good old Fargo days, not so much this year, but the year before, it was Rob and me were half a lap out ahead of everybody. He was tearing the rear quarter panels off my car to try to beat me, and sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't. But we put on a good show anyway. Because before that, it was always one person driving way out in front of everybody and somebody else way behind that person. And at least we had 2 of them up front there putting on a good show. As we think about this a lot, we talk about this a lot. You know, it's a lot of it's about the show. It's not just about our own personal wants and needs out there in the race car and desires. It's you got to put on a show, or pretty soon you're not going to have anybody wanting you there.
Right.
As far as as far as promoters wanting your class and spectators wanting to watch you do this, we have like at Ogilvy, we run really good there, and there's been twice this year, that Rob won it. I was second and Tommy was third, and man, people come down out of the grandstands and just think this is absolutely awesome to see the 3 of us, racing each other just as hard as you can, and never damaging each other's cars, but we will rub a little once in a while because it happens. You start pushing everything that hard, and it happens.
We call him the 3-link master. I guess he's the biggest part in all of that stuff. We've tried all kinds of things, and we keep trying new things all the time, and we've came up with what works, I guess.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Performance Auto, Jamestown Speedway, Valley Alignment and Repair, Quality Engines, Red River Kart Club, Red River Valley Speedway. Here is the Racing Life's question of the week.
Corey's son Tommy, 2010 Rookie of the Year, talks about some of the challenges he faced over his first season in a Mod 4.
The track always changes. The track is never the same. So you never, I mean, like beginning of the year, I thought, oh, I got this figured out. It's all tacky tracks. I'm kind of figuring out.
And I kept telling him, I said, 1st of July is coming, you wait. Well, it happened even before the 1st of July, middle of June, early part of June, we were already on dry slick tracks, and he was just beside himself trying to figure out what to do with it.
And then it was like learning all over again, because everything's different, everything changes.
He just had to learn. He had to accommodate, or change his gears there, and learn to drive it, and drive smoother, and different setup on the car and stuff like that.
That's the fun of it. It's a challenge every time, it's not ever the same.
Cory's son Rob talks about how being consistently fast can raise questions about your car and how it evolved into a nickname.
We were in Bemidji, and we were going to the pit meeting, and the tech officials said they were going to take down the top 5 cars in each class, and Onstead yelled out, "You better just load it up, cheater Rob." And ever since then, I've heard it from Victory Lane a few times from him yelling out of the stands.
Really?
They call me Cheetah Rob now. I think anybody that's fast, everyone's gonna wonder,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's me or Josh or my dad or anyone else that's fast. Everyone's got to think it once in a while.
The WISSOTA 100 in Huron, South Dakota was a huge event for the VanMil racing team. Corry describes how each member of the family plays a part in making their racing a success.
Yeah, that was quite a WISSOTA 100. We went there with 5 cars, and unfortunately Bryce Burkin, number 7 car, he wrecked his car the 3rd lap of the heat, so that was his entire weekend. The other 4 of us ran heats, qualifying features, race of champions, and features, and we were all in top 5 everywhere, all of us in every race, so we had some really good results.
3 years ago I raced it. I was running 2nd, didn't finish because of ignition problem. Last year I was leading it and got tangled up with a lap car in the last lap, so I guess it's bittersweet when I won it. 3rd time's the charm.
That's great.
Rob's brother-in-law, Frank, is a really big part of our racing as far as development. He's not much into driving, but he watches these cars and he really understands what makes them work. He knows the changes to make for each of us to make our cars better, and he's very helpful with all of us, keeping us all up to speed.
We call him the 3-link master. I guess he's the biggest part in all of that stuff. We've tried all kinds of things, and we keep trying new things all the time, and we've came up with what works, I guess.
We talk about us 3 boys doing this thing as a family, but there's a lot more family involved in that. We all have, my son and I both have wives that are very involved in our racing. They really take it seriously. My wife puts out almost as much effort at preparing meals and trips and having everything in place for when we travel and stuff like that. I mean, look at the big crock pot up there with a roast in it and all kinds of veggies. And this is a pretty regular thing, and she goes through a lot of work to put this on. She puts up with a lot of late nights alone and stuff like that to put up with this. Her mother also travels with us quite a bit because she lives with us now and stuff, and she's helpful to my wife too. But my wife and then Rob's wife Kathy, they put out a lot of effort in order to make all of this work too. Frank's wife Cindy, which is Kathy's sister and stuff like that, they all participate a lot, enjoy it quite a bit, tolerate a lot of stuff to let us play, because that's what it is. Yeah. They have to tolerate a lot of time that we spend away from them so that we can go play with our big toys here, because that's what they really are. It turns into a social event. It's not just a sport. I mean, it's people you hang out with all year long, and that's what you do all year long. A lot of some of our business revolves around, my shop revolves around people from the racetrack and their needs and stuff like that, and automotive needs, this and that stuff. And then we really pitch in when somebody's having trouble with a race car, getting them up to speed to at least get them to where they're competitive and enjoy it, because if they don't enjoy it, they won't be around long, and they've invested a lot of money, and if it doesn't work, I'm not talking about cars we've sold, I'm talking about anybody that is out there and struggling and stuff like that. If they come and talk to us, we will help them, without a doubt. And my son Rob has gotten really good with it. Him and Frank together have gotten to know these suspensions on these cars so well, and they're just helpful, glad to help somebody that's struggling, because you can. Yeah, it is a life. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's, like I said, it's not sport. It's a way of life.
All the years past, all we've done is race. Like last year, we were trying to win that national deal, and we got it done. But it was every night, 4 days a week, and so I mean, it's another full-time job.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Dakota Cat, Peterman Seeds, Randall's Excavating, Cheyenne River Kennels, I-94 Speedway. Here are the Racing Life's fan pictures of the week.
Dustin Strand of Grand Forks, North Dakota has a lot of experience in racing for only 8 years. After several seasons of racing full-time and capturing the National Points Championship in the Midwest Modified class in 2009, Dustin decided to go for the Rookie of the Year title in the Modified class.
Well, my dad's raced since 1979, so I've kind of been around it all my life, and it's just always been a dream of mine that I wanted to do it. We started out in the pure stocks, and then we moved to the street stocks, super stocks, Midwest mod. Now we're racing the A mod this year. 71 has always been my dad's number, and actually when I started racing, I put a 17 on my car. It was kind of the opposite of his, and the first night we raced it, I got second, and the next night I won, and we got back to the shop that night, and he said, we got to get that 17 off there and get a 71 on the side. So I've been a 71 ever since. The 44 car is actually my old car from 3 years ago. These guys bought it, and they work on the railroad, so they're gone all the time, and they just called me and asked me if I wanted me to bring it down here to this race, so here we are. Yeah.
Do you enjoy that though?
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, well, especially at a race like this, you got so much time to kill anyway. There's plenty of time.
Yeah.
But on a normal night, that the guys that do it, it's a lot of work trying to keep both of them going.
Right. And do you have to go into a different mindset between cars? Or
It's definitely a little bit of a different driving style.
Yeah.
You know, but just kind of adapt, I guess. We just kind of decided this year we were going to race for fun, and I kind of wanted to win that track deal at Ada, and we ended up winning that, the track points there, so that was pretty awesome. And we're leading the Rookie of the Year points, so we got a couple weeks left here. Hopefully we can get that handled. All the years past, all we've done is race. Like last year, we were trying to win that national deal, and we got it done. But it was every night, 4 days a week, and so I mean, it's another full-time job. But this summer, we kind of took it easy and did some of that. Went to the lake a little bit and just raced when we could and had fun. Last year, what did we have? I think it was like 65 shows we ended up racing.
That's a lot.
And that guy that got second actually had 88 or something shows in.
Really?
Yeah, and we thought we were racing a lot.
Yeah.
But this year we just barely cracked 30 nights now. We raced Thursday nights in Ada, Friday nights in Grand Forks, Saturday nights here in Jamestown, and then Sunday nights we kind of traveled around Bemidji, Minnesota, and Glendon. Well, I guess just a group of people that we got that comes with us. We always just have a blast, and of course, everybody wants to win. I mean, that's the adrenaline rush of that is huge, but just, I guess, the whole atmosphere, and it's just what I've always been around, what I always wanted to do, and we look forward to it every week. My dad's won that national title 2 times.
Wow.
He actually won it 2 years in a row, and he's been around racing for a lot of years, and he helps me out a ton.
Does he give you a lot of advice?
Yep. Oh yeah, he gives me a lot of advice.
Do you take it well?
Yep.
Do you?
Oh yeah, we get along really good.
Honest?
Yeah. No, we do. Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually good advice.
Yeah.
He doesn't usually steer me the wrong way.
That's good. That's good.
Normally, I get a lot more nervous before I go out than when I get on the track, and usually once we get lined up and we're getting ready to go, that kind of goes away, and you're just concentrating on doing what you're doing.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Norman County Raceway, Nugget Vending, Dakota Engine Builders, FargoPicks.com, River City Speedway. Here is this week's driver factoid.
My name is Ozzie, Lawler, and I'm wondering what's it like to drive at Buffalo River.
Hey Ozzie, thanks for your question this week. I'd be happy to answer it for you. I'm Justin. I race a Mod 4 at Buffalo River almost every Sunday. I've been out there for the last couple of years. I like it because it's nice and close to Fargo, and it's a short drive for me. I also like it because the bleachers are always full of fans, and it's nice and close to the track, so you can see them usually. As far as being on the track, it's probably one of the most fun tracks around here just because of the fact that it's nice and small. They call it the bull ring. It's a short quarter-mile track, and it's always full of cars out there. So you're always bumper to bumper. You can always count on a lot of action out there. Thanks for your question, and hopefully we'll see you out there next summer.
In 2009, the efforts of running 65 shows paid off for the Strand Racing team.
Last year, we went down to Wisconsin. It was the last night of the year, and we were within 2 points of the lead of that national point deal. And all the good guys were there. There was 50 B-mods there. And we started 8th and ended up winning that deal. So that finished off, we clinched the title with that race. So that was pretty awesome. I think it's important to have a good car, but there's a lot of good ones out there too. I mean, everybody's got their own tricks and whatever they do, and a lot of them, I mean, they make it work with what they got, you know.
Yeah.
But good equipment is a big part of it. That's part of it, reading the racetrack too. It's tough to do, especially if you end up starting in the front. Sometimes that's not even as good because you don't know if it's fast on the top or the bottom. You kind of got to search for it, you know. But yeah, you just got to go where they're not and try to sneak your way through there. Rear steer built in the rear end. The angle of the bars, when you step on the throttle, the left rear tire goes ahead and it helps the car turn. And there's a lot of things that go into that. I mean, is even your front end geometry and how you got your rear end set, and there's a lot of different things that can affect that. Tire size, you can put a bigger tire on the right rear versus the left rear. You can put a little stagger in the car, that'll help it turn. And
so any little change that might happen around that chassis can affect how that chassis will.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's another big part of it too. I mean, we go through and check every nut and bolt in the car, and every time we race it and go over everything, because you never know, something you get bumped around and something's a little bit off and can screw you up for a couple weeks if you don't catch it.
Have you ever been had a really good setup and then at the last minute said, I think we need to change it, and then you went back and said, oh.
We do that. I'm known for that. All my pit guys, they get mad at me. They're just waiting with the wrenches when I'm sitting in my car because I'm always changing something at the last minute. But it's not always the right thing, but you got to try it.
Yeah.
I got to try to get the edge over everybody else. I'm more of an aggressive driver, I guess you'd say.
Okay. And do you think that's evolved over the years since you first started?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you get more confident in the car. Normally, I get a lot more nervous before I go out than when I get on the track, and usually once we get lined up and we're getting ready to go, that kind of goes away and you're just concentrating on doing what you're doing.
Is anybody that you're really competitive with or really good friends with or like to watch?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys that we race with. I mean, Blake Jetpig, he's actually leading the national points this year in the modifieds, and we race with him every week. We get along with him really good. There's a lot of guys. I mean, that's the best part, when you can go and have fun with everybody and everybody has a good time, and that's the funnest part.